Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about DC Comics, as there are rumors that DC Comics plans to actually reboot Batman and Superman back to an issue 1 coming up in 2025. So for those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about and just completely live under a rock, or you're just kind of new to comics, actually, for DC Comics, the longest running comic book series, and just these are the two longest current ones until they literally rebooted The Flash that had 800 issues back to #1, and the Flash new series doesn't sell at all because, you know, DC doesn't care about any characters other than Batman and Superman. But back to the point. You have Detective Comics, you have Action Comics. Those are in, you know, the 1,000, right, for comic book issues, and they are currently ongoing right now. For Detective Comics, you have Tom Taylor writing that for Batman, and then on Action Comics, you have Mark Waid doing weekly Action Comics, right? But those are the two flagship series right there for DC. Then after that, because they did this with Batman and Superman for a long time, you have Batman and Superman as another way to basically sell Batman and Superman books, actually, you know? And they constantly reboot the Batman and Superman series throughout a lot of the years, actually, through their publication, right? So currently, for Batman, that is done by, right now, Chip Zdarsky. He's the writer on it. And previously before that, you had James Tynion and you had Tom King. So the 2016 Batman Rebirth era, it was Tom King, James Tynion, Chip Zdarsky. And then now, as you guys remember, because we talked about this in other shows in the last few weeks ago, was that at Batman issue number 157, Chip Zdarsky is not going to be the writer on the book anymore, and they are bringing back Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb. As far as Superman, Joshua Williamson has been writing Superman for quite some time, ever since the whole Dawn of DC era. And you guys know Joshua Williamson for a lot of things. He did Cobra Commander, he did Duke, he previously did write The Flash, actually. He's did Batman and Robin, he's been on fucking, what, a lot of things. Green Arrow, he's revived that a lot. He's actually, in my opinion, a very talented writer, in my opinion, actually. So
he might be probably the most popular writer in all of comics right now, because it doesn't matter where you're coming from, like, everybody is loving the shit out of what he's doing at Skybound.
Yep. So the other thing to bring up now is, like, this is a very concrete reason why people are hesitant on getting into long ongoing series when it comes to basically, you know, DC. Because with Marvel, I will give them credit here, even though their books are not as good as DC's right now currently. Marvel just doesn't straight up, you know, go, hey, we're rebooting constantly. But they do it from a whole #1 scheme, right? They'll basically have a book that'll be like a #1, but it's honestly just a continuation of a character that didn't really get to pass like 10 issues, right? So that's Marvel's thing. Yep. They don't technically reboot, they just reboot back to #1, as we talked about before. DC just reboots the entire thing. Like what I just mentioned earlier, The Flash was at 800 issues, which is insane. That takes a long, many years to build up. They're like, you know what? Back to a #1 for you with Dawn of DC. What a straight up spit in the face to people that have supported that Flash ongoing series. 800 issues, guys, is a very long run to get through. And to get to a number, right? Now, in this new comic book landscape that we're in, getting to like 163 issues, which is where the Hush 2 arc for the Batman series is going to end, that's actually pretty good. But why are you rebooting it? Just get a new team and then just keep going. Why do DC do this? Just stop rebooting. Doesn't
make any sense.
Just get a new team. I don't know why Marvel keeps doing this. This makes no sense, okay? So Superman might be getting relaunched because the new James Gunn movie is coming out. They probably want a Superman book coming out they'll say it's coinciding with the movie, but we know it's not. But they probably want to launch a new Superman #1 along with the movie because they think it'll improve in sales. So gossip. DC Comics to relaunch Superman #1 and Batman #1 in 2025. Now, we thought they were going to do this with when Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb came in, but apparently they're not going to do that. They'll just wait till next year. But why? Don't reboot at all. It's stupid. You just make people more angry when you reboot. Like, they prove that they don't need a reboot with DC All In because it's not a reboot. They're just kind of splitting the universes up and they're continuing where Dawn of DC left off. A lot of people like that. Oh my God, for the first time ever, they're not rebooting. Oh, let's just reboot again. You guys just don't learn. You don't learn.
And they started a whole other universe too. I mean, it wasn't even like they started a whole other universe in the absolute stuff from that storyline. But then, yeah, they continued everything else. But like comic book numbering is to the point where it doesn't mean shit anymore.
There's no even real reason to do like reading order videos anymore because you have to constantly tell people, hey, this is Deadpool #1. This is the new Deadpool #1 they relaunched 5 years later.
Yeah, from 2003, and then 2004 is #1, and then the numbers don't mean shit, dude. They should find a different. They should just, frankly, I wouldn't give a shit if they just stopped numbering the damn things like this. Like, do I need a #1 on this? Really? No,
because
it's a one shot.
Speculators and collectors. That's why they're doing it for.
Yeah, it's retarded. Exactly.
Yeah.
But who is speculating anymore? On what? None of the dude. Go on eBay and look at all of this shit.
It's all in the PSA.
Yeah,
if you get the variant, if you get the really limited 1 to 25 variant covers for the retailers, that's what sells. Not the
but dude, you've already
cover.
paid through the teeth for that. If you bought that from a retailer, you're already.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You're getting what you're paying what you would get on eBay for it. In 5 years from now, that variant you paid $25 for on day one for that $5 comic is going to be worth maybe 10 because nobody cares. Look at that $100 variant in the indie space of Pitt. Oh, I had somebody reach out and be like, "Hey, yo, how about $50?" I haven't replied yet, but I'm debating if I want to take it. Or if I want to leave it up there for $60 forever as a point that comic skate books don't resell.
DC Comics plans to relaunch Superman #1 and Batman #1 in 2025. New Batman series follows Hush 2, running from issue number 158 to 163. Superman relaunch aligns with James Gunn's upcoming movie. Brevoort highlights the benefits of new #1 issue sales. Okay, so several things here. I think Hush 2 will do well for the Batman book, but that's only a temporary.
If they get it out on time.
And that's only going to be a temporary Band-Aid on a open wound, actually, because if the next people that are, that's the thing. If the next people are not as good at what Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee plan on doing, because it looks like they're really excited to do it again, you're going to get that issue that Chip Zdarsky and Ram V, who did Detective Comics for a long time before Tom Taylor took it over, or Zeb Wells, right? They hire these people, and I haven't read all those guys' stuff. I'm not shitting on them, but this is what they do. They'll hire a guy to squat there long term, basically writing out these issues monthly, and they don't really go anywhere. And always at the 5th issue to complete a story arc, they'll give you some big bang because they're basically writing for trades. Can we just stop doing that? Can we have people that are just writing for the floppies to make them good? And then when you get a trade, it's even better because all 5 issues were good, other than getting a fucking good first issue #1, and then you have 3 filler issues for 3 months straight, and then the 4th and 5th one are like, oh my God, they're really good. And then on issue 6, we're back to filler shit again. Feels like that's what the comic book industry is. It's just constantly they hiring writers. Could be Tom King, it could be Zeb Wells, it could be Chip Zdarsky, it could be Ram V, it could be Tom Taylor, it could be Gail Simone, could be anybody. The editorial staffs on all these books do not sit there and go, can we please write for the floppies to make them good? Just focus on that. You're going to have a trade anyway, and that trade will sell really well if all 5 issues are good. Wonder why Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers Volume 1 sold very well? Because every single issue in it was really good to make it sell even better. Had he had just written one single good issue in it, no one would give a fuck about it. That's what most series end up being nowadays. It's all about issues 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's why when it comes to #1, that's always kind of like a smoke and mirrors thing. All that matters is the issues that come after #1. And issue #1 has to be generally good because that's how you get people in the door. First heard at Thought Bubble a couple weeks ago, firmed up a little since, is the word that DC Comics is planning to relaunch both their Superman and Batman ongoing books in 2025. That we will get a new Batman #1 to follow Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair's upcoming Batman Hush 2, run on the series from issue 158 to Batman 163. And that Superman will get a relaunch alongside the release of James Gunn's new Superman movie. Do you guys know who they're planning on putting? I don't know if it's going to be Action Comics or the Superman book. They are trying to put Dan Slott on the Superman book. Imagine going from Joshua Williamson to Dan Slott, who's only wrote like Superior Spider-Man as his only good book ever.
Oh.
A lot of people only talk about that guy from his life, Superior Spider-Man.
No. So does he hate Superman as much as he hated Spider-Man? That's the real question. Dude, the most interesting thing that DC's managed to put out, as far as I'm concerned, in the last couple of years has been this shit right here. Like the first one of these, Silent Night, was such a fun read. It reminded me of reading comics back in the 90s, dude. It was just a good time. It was a fun read. You had good guys, you had bad guys, you had fun, just shit happening. It was just a good, simple, fun read. It was very much in that vein of like, and also pretty family oriented. It was just a straight up superhero Christmas story. It was a little bit, it reminded me in the vein of like Batman Brave and the Bold's Christmas stories. Those episodes were so good.
Did each issue in that Silent Night series feel like you were getting filler in those 4 issues, or you were just getting a good issue?
No, dude. No, they're not even, that was like a very tight trade. It wasn't a quick read, but it was an easy read. It was tight, no filler, no bullshit. A lot of heroes to get to, so there's like ending cameos, but those used to be fun back in the day when like some guy like the Flash shows up at the end and like, why am I late? And it's like, bro, that's fucking funny. All right,
gosh, man,
like that was well played. Like, dude, seriously, whatever this Jeff Parker guy that writes this is up to at DC, or whatever editors letting that kind of shit get through, more of it, please. I want to see if they pull off the same kind of fun in the Batman smells Robin laid an egg little like, I don't know how many pages this is, but this isn't bad for $10. It's a pretty thick issue for $10. That's reasonable. What Marvel did for $6 was pretty ridiculous, though. This is just a fucking 28-page floppy.
Previously, both titles were meant to have a relaunch with 5G. When that was abandoned, James Tynion continued his run on Batman Pass issue 100. When Chip Zdarsky took it over, he preferred a continuation rather than a #1 relaunch. Yes. There's reasons for that, guys. There's perfectly understandable reasons for that. Because if you constantly keep relaunching, then people always kind of question where you start at. Jim Lee felt the same way when the original Batman Hush launched in Batman issue 608, and so got the same with Batman Batman issue number 158 for Hush 2. Yes, because Jim Lee said he's gonna make Batman issue 608 sell like a #1. That proves right there. As long as the creative team puts out a good story, doesn't matter if it's a #1 or in the middle of a fucking character's ongoing series. If it's good and it has a good word of mouth, it will sell. Superman has had a few more relaunches over the years, including the recent Dawn of DC relaunch with Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell at the beginning of 2023. But what if DC Comics were to relaunch them both together? The Superman movie is scheduled to be in cinemas from the 11th of July. The final part of Batman Hush 2 is also scheduled for July. Might this be an opportune time for a new Batman #1 and Superman #1? In a recent newsletter, Marvel SVP and executive editor Tom Brevoort, who's just an absolute idiot, talked about the appeal to publishers for starting a new volume with a new #1 as opposed to continuing previous numberings. With DC's decision not to relaunch every comic for DC All In. Yeah, that was a good idea. It was like the first time they ever not did that. A lot of people kind of like, hey, what I previously read kind of matters moving forward. Yeah, because that anybody with the same thinking mind in comics would know that. Says, and I quote, I think that DC is satisfied with this approach, then that's all that matters. However, if they're relaunching titles with new creative teams and new directors, then they're probably leaving money on the table by not starting with the new #1. Tom, you're stupid. You don't know jack shit. Your X-Men books are failing. Nobody reads those X-Men books. The only ones that sell well are if it's number ones or it's Wolverine. That's it. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Like, this guy just literally living in a closet or something, living under a bridge. If it's the same team, though, I can see why you would continue with the numbering. No. You should always continue with the same numbering. Just get a different group of people. Because what does the reboot do? You're getting nothing different, actually.
Yeah.
So that's it for the current rumors that DC Comics plans to relaunch Superman #1 and Batman #1 in 2025. So we'll see if DC Comics ends up doing it. I hope they don't. Just please, just get a new team. You're already going to get a new team anyway.
Just leave them alone.
Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb, Joshua Williamson, and Mr. Campbell are not obviously going to be doing it. You know you're going to be getting a different team anyway. That's all you have to do. That's it. Just keep it going, right? Fans are like, the thing is, if you constantly keep doing that, you will lose people. Keep in mind, we just read that article from the indie comic thing where all of them were talking about it. You know, like, guys, comic books are going to be increasing, okay, coming up in 2025, and comic book floppy sales are stagnant. They're not going up. They're not going down. You might have an absolute Batman #1 or Ultimate Spider-Man #1 that might peak sales at some point, right? But that's not a constant thing, right? And if you constantly keep rebooting, you just keep losing more fans constantly. And the ones that are already, for some reason, still giving you money are just the only ones that constantly are just getting abused. But I'll ask you, man, what are your closing thoughts? Do you think they do it? Coming up 2025, Batman and Superman?
Of course they do it, because this is how the industry makes money anymore. They just resell #1s. And whoever's out there still buying these #1s in excess like they fucking matter, like, please go to eBay and look this shit up. Nobody's buying #1s anymore.
This has no resale value.
Every 6 months.
Who's reselling this
there's no
stuff?
resale value. No one is. This is a mindset they've been stuck in since the 2000s, dude. When there used to be speculators in the market, when that brought people into the market, they're not there anymore. You're not putting out shit that anyone is reading anyways. You're losing fans consistently, and speculators aren't wasting their time because they're not turning this shit over. I didn't buy this to resell this. I bought this to dude, I liked this first book. I didn't buy this issue 1 to resell this, because you know what? Not enough people are interested in superhero Christmas stories that this is going to ever be worth a shit ton. No, this is for me to read. And in all honesty, if they fucked up the second one, though it's the same writer, I'll probably just give it away.
Because, dude, that's the thing moving forward that no one really truly understands is, guys, keep in mind, I highly doubt people are actually reading what's in the books. And do you know how I know that? They're always really surprised at dialogue that happens in these books now. Well, keep in mind, the dialogue that's really cringy and really kind of stupid and woke, as people would say, it wouldn't be as surprising if you constantly were reading these books, right? Now, keep in mind what I just said there. People's minds and what they see as far as like comics are basically this now. That's why the art on the modern comics are actually pretty good. I will give them that. They have hired really good artists to do variant covers and main covers. Guys, that's all people are buying it for. We're only buying it for the art. They're not reading this shit. I promise they're not reading the story here. I can almost guarantee nobody reads this stuff as much anymore. They're not. There's no way I believe it.
No.
Because people are so flabbergasted by the fucking dialogue in some of these cringe comics that come out.
Yeah, and nobody, dude, I read this because the first one was good, and I've looked up the writer. He doesn't seem to be he's not Mark Waid, and if he is, he's not vocal about it. And it doesn't show in his books. All I got here in the first one was a fun story that actually took me back to a nostalgic era of getting comic books off the shelf at the shop and just reading them and having a good story in them that's actually fun and interesting. And I mean, I'm hoping the rest of the winter crap that I picked up this week can hold up that kind of vein. It might give me some hope for the industry. But for the most part, like, it reminds me of this stuff, dude. I loved these back in the day. But so many people out there aren't writing good stories. And if you're not putting out good work, nobody gives a shit about the #1. It's not going to It's not going to sell, and moreover, nobody's going to be interested in going to pick up that first issue.
I want to ask you this too. And then that's another thing. When it comes to Batman and Superman books, like we highlighted here, Batman, Superman, X-Men, and Spider-Man are the biggest characters right now. Well, they always have been. Being last year.
Yeah.
On Batman,
the big ones. That's just
who are you going to put on that Batman book after Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb? Who are you putting on Superman after Joshua Williamson and Mr. Campbell and Jamal Campbell? Who are you putting? Who's the big talent? They have to get Dan Slott from
somebody
Marvel.
hella cheap. That's who.
Well, when Superman is rumored, the guy is Dan Slott. That means you already know we're digging in the literal trash, the Ethan Van Sciver crack pipe of trash. So we're getting
Dude,
that.
That's
guy
how
from.
bad it is that Dan Slott still works in the industry, universally hated by the fans everywhere. But Ethan Van Sciver, like, bro, let's get those two together on a book.
What artist do you put on the book?
The worst written book that will never be released ever.
Who do you put on? And keep in mind, guys, I want them to stop doing this. Do not put someone on there that squats on a book and writes a bunch of filler bullshit. And then when it comes to the end of a story arc, you kind of get something kind of good. But then for the most of their time on the book and its run, you're getting just bullshit. The person on the Batman book has to be, at least in my opinion, because it's Batman. It's the biggest thing for DC and Superman. But I guess DC settles on Dan Slott because, fucking reasons, right? That writer has to be a 9 out of 10 an 8 out of 10 in my opinion. It's Batman. It's the biggest book. You don't have anybody good on it. You shouldn't be on there. You literally would have need a talented person. Why can't Mark Miller write the Batman book? Oh wait, people in the industry can't talk about him anymore because they'll get blacklisted and then they'll just get fired because Mark Miller.
They got blacklisted all over for talking about Mark Millar. Who did? That's fucking wild.
Look, who are they going to put on to write Batman? Gail Simone? I mean, Gail Simone did do a 3-issue arc on Action Comics for a little bit there. Jason Aaron? Jason Aaron did Superman 3-part arc earlier this year, but he only really sold those books because Dan Mora was the artist on them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm being honest with you guys.
He did covers for the Batman holiday book as well.
Yeah, those look so good. Dan Mora.
So good.
Is my favorite artist, man. That guy is so good. Like, who do you?
He's really good right now, dude.
Definitely. And Dan Mora's art can't save every book. Who's gonna be the writer on Batman?
Nope.
I'll be honest here. Unless that person is straight up an 8 out of 10, he's had like maybe some banger runs like the last 2 to 3 years. That book's dead on arrival. After issue 1, after the sales are over, like Scott Snyder with Absolute Batman is doing good, but after a certain point, if he doesn't write a consistently good story, it's falling off. They can't do who does DC have? I can't think of anybody. I really can't, honestly.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man.
Unless you just hire Daniel Warren. Daniel Warren Johnson would be my pick to do it. But, like, he's focused on doing stuff that's not DC or Marvel currently, Jonathan Hickman? If you put Jonathan Hickman on there for what he did with Ultimate Spider-Man, I think he can do it. He could do it. But
he might ever work for alive. DC?
That thing is
Jonathan
Hickman to DC. That's probably gonna happen. So yeah, guys, that's my thoughts on Batman and Superman potentially moving back to an issue number 1 coming up in 2025. Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King. And we're signing out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces.